Welcome, everybody. The reading this morning is from Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 to 33. If you've got a Bible at home, do read along. I think most of you will know the passage. It's all about Jesus walking on water. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him across to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves, because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it's I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," replied Peter, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and, beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me!" Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." So you might like to keep that open while we're talking. Well, as Kate's explained, today we're starting this new series in August of Expect the Unexpected, looking at some of Jesus' miracles. And as we will see, there was always something to be learned from each one of them. This passage is preceded by the feeding of the 5,000. The disciples must have been completely amazed by what Jesus had done with those 5 small loaves and 2 fish. And doubtless they were pondering it all in their minds as they rowed against the storm. It certainly wasn't dull being with Jesus. You always had to expect the unexpected. I wonder if you noticed at the beginning of the reading today, it said, "Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side." Why did he make them get into the boat? Have you ever thought about why you are in a particular situation? In this case, Jesus knew they were going to encounter high winds and a storm, but he wanted to teach them more about himself. Maybe that's what God wants to do with you too. We all know what happens if we're hammering in a nail, chopping vegetables with a sharp knife, or driving a car. If we don't stay focused on the task in hand, we're likely to mess up, or even get hurt, or worse still, hurt someone else. It's the same with our faith. If we don't keep our trust in Jesus and stay focused on him, we're likely to mess up or sink below the waves. Looking at Peter, after having struggled with the others all night against the waves of the storm, his faith in Jesus was probably sky high after experiencing the feeding of the 5,000. And as soon as he recognized Jesus, he wanted to be with him. So, being of an impulsive nature, asked Jesus to tell him to come to him. I wonder, did he really stop to think what was involved? Did he just want to do what Jesus did? I don't know. But wow, what an experience. And what an incredible lesson to learn. When Jesus says, come, and you get out of the boat you're in and go, together you can achieve wonderful things. But we all know that's not the end of the story. Reality hit. He looked at the waves, felt the wind. He shifted his focus to the obstacles and lost his focus on Jesus and started to sink. Did he drown? No, of course not. But notice what it said in verse 31. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. And that's exactly what Jesus does for us. When you pray that deeply theological prayer, help! He is there for us immediately. Not next week or even in a few hours' time. He responds immediately. I wonder if you've had an experience like that. You start off really well, and then you pause to look around and, well, see what everybody else is doing, and wondering why you are making such an effort to live differently. Maybe friends say, you're mad, just be like the rest of us. Or maybe you've just run out of steam. Or maybe you wonder what on earth you're doing here, and how did I think I could possibly do this? Stay focused on the Lord's word to you and his instructions. Mind you, if these friends' words try to distract you, then maybe they might be warnings if you're not following exactly what God has told you to do. And you should heed them in that case. We know we will always encounter the unexpected, so we need to know whose instructions we're following and stay focused on him. If you've lost focus for a while, don't give up. During this pandemic, I have seriously wanted to hear and know what the Lord was wanting to achieve through it all. We know we can't go back to how things were before. In fact, we don't want to, most of us. But I don't for 1 minute think the Lord caused it. But I do think he allowed it in order to achieve his purposes. In some of my Bible readings in the Old Testament, I see many times where God allowed foreign powers to overrun and capture the Israelites because they'd turned their backs on him and had gone their own ways, picking up other nations' habits despite all his warnings and turning their back on his love and care for them. And I look at this nation and the world today, and it seems to fit the picture of the rebellious Israelites. Yes, there's always a remnant that stayed true to God. But I thought, now I've got all this time on my hands, I'll be able to spend lots of time praying, seeking the Lord, listening to his voice. But somehow I found morning after morning, I missed my usual Bible reading and prayer time. Yes, I was doing things for others, but was I consciously taking Jesus with me? Was I allowing myself to be built up in my faith and walk with the Lord? I somehow doubted. So this is a talk that I need to listen to for myself. Truly, where was and where is my focus set? I certainly did not expect this to be my response to all the spare time I've had. I didn't expect the unexpected. Thankfully, like Peter's experience, the Lord knew my heart, my cry for help, and has stretched out his hand to me with lots of encouragement and insights as I've got back to my almost daily reading and absorbing his word. If you felt discouraged, far away from God, far away from friends and usual means of support, remember that the very moment that Peter cried out to Jesus, he reached out his hand and caught him. He will do the same for you. Whatever you are finding difficult, he can help you find focus again and adjust the lenses through which we conduct our lives. Be encouraged. Be like Peter, who at least took the first step to get out of the boat to walk towards Jesus. Stay focused on Jesus. Expect the unexpected and know that Jesus' hand will be there to catch you no matter what happens to you, because he already knows your need. And I want to close there, but to also pause about a thought of a song which I think is particularly relevant. The first few words are, "You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine."
You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. Oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters, your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you've never failed and you won't start now. Above the waves, when oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine. Oh, Spirit, lead me where my trust is without oceans rise, my soul rests in your embrace. For I am yours, and you